What's up, LinkedIn? It's time for another Identity Rollout reaction with me, Andy Johnson. Today we're going to dive right in with the Pfizer rebrand, which was created by the exceptional agency Team out of New York City. In Pfizer's own words, they were unlocking the pill to reveal the DNA at the heart of Pfizer. And visually, that's exactly what they did, moving from the pill blue shape into this double helix with word mark configuration. One thing that popped out for me right away on these one color logos is a minimum size issue. This white stroke or blue stroke that's used to create space on the double helix starts to encroach on itself at smaller sizes. So if there isn't a minimum size logo yet, there probably will need to be one as we get into some of these other applications. Moving on to this brand Motif, I'm not really clear if the double helix logo is part of the motif or if these visuals to the right are supposed to be based on it and that's what the motif is. Probably some very interesting graphics to use. On the top right, I do worry about resolution. Moving on to typography, not a single complaint about Noto sans being used, but there are three things that I really love about Google fonts. First of all, they're absolutely free to be used in any application. This in itself is basically Google's gift to humanity. Second of all, they use TrueType fonts, which are perfectly acceptable for print and winners in digital, especially because I believe most of their library uses editable embeddability as the embed level for licensing, which means if you use these fonts in Microsoft Office in Windows and give them to other people in Windows, they don't have to have these fonts installed. They're just there and they can edit the deck, save it, send it back, and it all holds. And the third thing I love is that when you are looking at their library, they provide all of the embed and import information you need in CSS and code right there on the site. So these are fonts that can be used in every modern application from print, social, digital, you name it. I love the imagery system. I love this idea of using the F-slope to create this slanted grid for their combination of human and science or human and technology photography. I think this is going to yield a wonderful kit of parts. And the grid that they've created here on the right also makes layouts super easy. I also wondered if this straight grid might be used for lower tiered brand touch points. One thing I found on Pfizer's homepage is they too have not joined the 21st century and used SVG graphics for logos, which I think everyone should do. There's almost no excuse these days to use a raster graphic, especially for an element as important as your logo. But to add insult to injury, they're using a 72 ppi logo, which on my screen means it looks fuzzy. At a minimum, they should be using 144 ppi and using CSS to scale it to 50%. Other applications, I think there's an opportunity to go big on their vehicle livery. If only a larger wrap, they could maybe integrate some of their new photography as well. For packaging, I think it was smart that they kept the blue. In highly regulated industries, changes to packaging can be a long uphill battle. So as it stands, I think they're looking at years to get all of their product packaging redone. Bottom right, we see that opportunity for a minimum size one color logo. I think this logo is going to have a hard time at small sizes like that without some tweaking. I see the double helix has been decoupled for uniforms as well, and I like the look of it. I think there's a possibility people will, again, misuse, decouple, and break some equity there. But if the goal is to gain equity with this double helix, this is certainly a good way to start to see it working harder for the brand. On the right side, I think what I'm seeing here is use of that straight grid and more everyday communications that use the graphic motif rather than photography, just to set themselves into a staunchly corporate look and feel. All told, I wish I had the entire brand guidelines, but based on what was shared online, one thing that jumped out for me was the secondary palette. Sorry, brand managers, but I know people are going to need this in PowerPoint for charts, and don't be surprised when you start seeing the new funkier green, purple, orange, and yellow Pfizer brand coming to life in certain pieces of collateral. Definitely want to embed some advice on color balance and usage in your PowerPoint templates, if nothing else. Lastly, signage. I think that there's a wonderful opportunity to do some dimensional signage based on this new double helix and some of the motion graphics I've seen. With the layers in the brand Motif, I think there's opportunity to create more artistic expression on signage, especially things like monument signage. You know, you can now play with different materials, transparency, lighting. There's just some really neat things I think that will come to life with signage if that's the company's desire. So that'll be a fun one to see emerge across their properties. All told, I think it's awesome to see a relatively smaller agency ushering in massive change for a huge company. All props to team for getting the job done and getting it done well. Thanks so much for watching today. In this series, I share my opinions about brand implementation challenges that companies may face when rolling out their new identity. If you enjoyed today's review, please head over to my YouTube channel and click subscribe so you're sure to catch the next one. Take care.